today I have with me, I'm very excited to have with me Paula Bishop, who is a financial aid advisor, CPA in Seattle, Washington, and she is my go-to person when I have questions about financial aid. Usually it's the tricky, hard, oh, I've never heard of this before. Paula knows the answer. So that's why I was excited at this college conference. I want to be sure to interview Paula. Okay. So Paula, I'm going to give you a hard question since you're so, in the know about all things financial aid, merit aid. And this is what I want to know. There's a lot of families out there of divorce, right? Mm-hmm. And this just, when you have divorced families, it just makes it all the more complicated to figure out who's going to pay for college, how much you're going to be expected to pay for college because you have two different families. So Paula, maybe you could give us a little, some advice on the rules about divorce and financial aid.
Okay. First of all, you have to realize that there are two primary financial aid forms. Everyone knows about the FAFSA form, but also for the higher end, more expensive colleges, the ones that are perhaps $40,000 and over, require a second form called the Css Profile Form. Now, Congress sets the rules for the FAFSA form. And so the FAFSA form has noted that only the custodial parent needs to put their financial information on that. And that's a big issue, because if you're only looking at one parent, then the income kind of for the whole family is divided in half. So you might be directed, it might work out for you that you only look at schools that require the FAFSA form. Mm-hmm. Now the CSS profile...
Well, before you go to the profile, could you talk about what a custodial parent is? Because I think there's a lot of misconceptions about that.
Okay. The custodial parent should be primarily the one where the child spends most of their time. When you divide the year up, it was one more day at one parent over the other. But men have joint custody, so it's back and forth, and no one really follows you around in a car to figure out where you really slept that night. Right. But if it's totally equal, it's supposed to be the one that is more financially, has paid more financially for that student for that year. But, in reality, you would almost advise them to stay with the family that's earning the least amount of money, because when there's a divorce, in general, there's limited funds, and we want the kid to go to college. So, think about it wisely when you're deciding who the financial person is for the FAFSA form. And that person will be filling out the form. So if one parent is totally inept at filling out forms and getting them in on time, that could be a consideration too. So then you have the CSS Profile Form, and that is administered by the College Board, and the custodial parent still fills out the profile form, but when you put in your information about the family unit, you note that you're divorced, and all of a sudden it'll trigger another form called the non-custodial profile form. And so each parent fills out their part, and then the colleges get both pieces of information, and in general they add them together. There are some colleges that only look at the profile and the custodial parent and don't require the non-custodial.
Which would be great if you're divorced, right? Only have one parent's income.
So on College Board, right under the word profile, where you start entering this information, it will give you a list of colleges that require the profile form. Also has a column there that indicates whether the non-custodial profile form is required or not. And don't use that as gospel that that's the answer, because occasionally a college has invented their own form. So look on their website to see what forms are required if you're in a divorce situation, because the outcome of all of these forms is called your expected family contribution, what they think that the family can afford for college. So for a FAFSA only school, it could be really low, and when you add in the non-custodial parent, it could be really high, say $5,000 and $30,000, or if it's $80,000. So when you're anticipating what schools you're looking at and what you might, pay for college, be aware that this non-custodial issue is important. Now, I want to address the fact of, so two people are divorced, so there's only two people. What if one gets married again and one does?
Yeah, right. It happens a lot.
Yeah, and at least when you fill out the FAFSA form and press the enter key at the end, you see your expected family contribution on the screen. Now, with the profile form, you don't. They just ask for your Visa card, actually, for $25. So the colleges collect all this information, but they don't tell you what they do with it. They don't tell you what your expected family contribution is, so you only see more or less the results when you receive your award. So I would highly recommend, if you're remarried or both of you are remarried, some colleges could look at all four parents for money. Some look at just the biological parents, and some will look at, say, only one side is remarried and there's a biological parent as a single person. So the colleges could, tap several different pools of money. And I've, interviewed the colleges, asked them questions about this, and I get answers all across the board.
Okay, so there's no way to generalize
Right.
this.
Call them. Because sometimes they look at it as, how long have you been divorced? Because if you've been divorced for 15 years, then your new husband is really kind of responsible because he knew that walking into the marriage.
Now, could you also say that, a college that really wants a kid maybe will not consider all the parents' income if they're that a coveted child versus a child who, is down below at the bottom of the barrel?
Well, I would harp more on that the other parent has other responsibilities, or he has medical problem, a family or something, or he has got 3 kids from his new spouse, or they have new kids between the two of them. Something where it would discount the value that they put on that other family, or the one that has a lot of money that might rock the boat on whether you get any financial aid. So I try to look at a hook that we can attach to kind of direct our appeal so that we'd have more chances of success.
Right, okay. So any other final words on divorce?
Don't be afraid to call the colleges. Don't just look at the website and go, oh, forget it, we're moving on, because we really don't know how they would treat it. Every once in a while, I'm surprised that even though the non-custodial parent makes a lot of money, they really just use the custodial parent to make their decision. So they are normal people, they're family humans too, and have families, so they are approachable, and they like discussing things with the student's family because they do not want to lose that student. Okay.
All right. Well, thank you, Paula, very much. I appreciate it. This is going to help hopefully a lot of families of divorce out there with their college choices.